Hi, everyone. I want to start today by asking you to do something very simple, but also very strange. I want you to sit comfortably, take a deep breath, and close your eyes. Now, in the darkness behind your eyelids, I want you to imagine a beach. Don't just think the word beach. Try to actually see it. Can you see the blue water? Is the sun bright? Can you hear the sound of the waves crashing against the sand? Can you hear the seagulls calling out above you? Now I want you to imagine a voice calling your name from down that beach. Is it a man's voice? A woman's? Is it loud or soft? Okay, open your eyes. For most of you watching this, that was probably an easy exercise. You saw the blue water. You heard the waves. You might have even felt the sun on your skin. But for some of you, and for me, that experience was completely different. When I close my eyes and try to imagine a beach, I don't see anything. It is completely dark. I know what a beach is. I can describe it to you perfectly. I know the water is blue and the sand is yellow, but I don't see it. And when I try to hear a voice in my head, there is no sound. There is only silence. For a long time, I thought this was how everyone's brain worked. I thought when people said, "I have a song stuck in my head," they were just using a metaphor. I didn't realize that you literally hear music. I didn't realize that you literally see faces. This difference in how we process reality is what I want to talk about today for the next hour. We are going to go on a journey into the architecture of your mind. We are going to talk about the voices in your head, what they are, why they are there, and what it means if, like me, you don't have them. And most importantly, we are going to talk about what this means for you as an English learner. Because if you are trying to become fluent in a new language, understanding your own brain is the most important step you can take. Let's start with the basics. What exactly are these voices? When psychologists and scientists study the human mind, they often talk about inner speech. This is that running commentary you have throughout the day. It's the voice that says, "Oh, I forgot to buy milk," or "Why did I say that stupid thing in the meeting?" or "I really hope this video is good." For many people, this voice is a constant companion. It wakes up with you and it talks until you fall asleep. But have you ever stopped to ask who is speaking? Sometimes it is your own voice. It sounds exactly like you, just without the sound waves. It's your ego, your identity. But sometimes it's not you. We all have what I call the gallery of voices. Think about when you were a child. Maybe you had a strict teacher or a worried parent. When you are about to make a mistake, do you hear their voice? Do you hear your mother saying, "Be careful"? That isn't a hallucination. That is an auditory image. Your brain has recorded the texture and the tone of that person, and it plays it back to you to help you make decisions. This is a beautiful thing, really. It means we carry the people we love, and sometimes the people we fear, around with us. We are never truly alone, because our minds are populated by these echoes. But then there's the other side of the spectrum, the silence. I want to share my personal experience with you because I think it helps explain a concept that is very difficult to grasp. I am aphantastic. Aphantasia is a condition where the mind's eye is blind. But for me, it goes further. I also have no inner voice. This is sometimes called Anauralia. When I realized this, I felt a little bit cheated. I felt like I was missing out on a superpower. I asked my friends, "Wait, so you can actually watch movies in your head? You can rehearse a conversation with your boss before you actually have it?" And they said, "Yes, of course, don't you?" And I had to say no. So how does a mind like mine work? If I don't hear words and I don't see pictures, what is happening inside my brain? Is it just empty? No. It is full of what I call the abstract soup. I want you to imagine a pot of water on the stove. When the water gets hot, it turns into steam. That steam is real, it is water, but it has no shape. It is invisible. It is just heat and pressure. That is what thinking is. True thinking is not words. True thinking is not pictures. True thinking is that steam. It is a flash of lightning. It is a pure concept. But we are humans. We cannot communicate with steam. If I want to tell you what I'm thinking, I have to turn that steam into ice. I have to freeze it into a shape. For most people, they freeze the steam into images or internal sounds. That is their way of holding the thought. They see the apple or they hear the word apple. But for me and for people who think like me, we don't freeze the steam inside our heads. We freeze it with our mouths. My thinking is in the form of my speaking. This might sound terrifying to some of you. The idea of speaking without checking the words first feels dangerous. You might think, but don't you say things you regret? Don't you make mistakes? And the answer is sometimes. But there's also a great freedom in it. Because I can't rehearse, I have to be completely present. I have to trust my brain to do the work in real time. I'm not watching life, I'm doing life. Now, why am I telling you all of this? Why spend an hour talking about steam and ice and invisible apples? Because this is the root of your struggle if you are learning English. I have coached so many students who say to me, I can read English perfectly, I can write it well, but when I try to speak, I freeze, my mind goes blank. Why does this happen? Usually it happens because you're trying to use a tool that doesn't work for the task. You're trying to translate. Let's look at the inner voice learner first. If you have a strong inner voice, you're probably trying to construct the English sentence in your head before you say it. You hear your native language, maybe Spanish or Japanese or Arabic, and you try to swap the words one by one. You're having a conversation with yourself, trying to perfect the grammar, trying to find the right preposition. But a conversation in the real world moves too fast for that. By the time you have built the perfect sentence in your head, the topic has changed. And so you stay silent. You get stuck in your own head. Now look at the visual learner. You might be trying to remember the page in the textbook. You're trying to see the image of the verb conjugation. You're looking for the image of the word. But again, this is too slow. The secret to fluency, the secret to really mastering English, is to learn to do what I do naturally. You have to bypass the translation. You have to bypass the image. You have to connect the steam, the abstract idea, directly to your mouth. We call this thinking in English, but that's a scary phrase. Thinking in English sounds like a huge mountain you have to climb. Let's break it down. Thinking in English just means converting the abstract idea directly to sound, without a middleman. Think about how you speak your native language. When you want to say, I'm hungry, do you think about the grammar? Do you spell the word hungry in your mind? No. You just feel the sensation of hunger and your mouth moves. It's automatic. It's a reflex. That is where we need to get you with English. So how do we train an abstract process? First, we have to stop treating English like a subject you study and start treating it like a physical sport. If you want to learn to play tennis, you don't sit in a chair and imagine hitting the ball. You don't have a debate in your head about the angle of the racket. You get on the court and you swing your arm. You build muscle memory. Language is the same. It is a physical act. It involves your tongue, your teeth, your diaphragm, your breath. If you're like me, if you don't have an inner voice, you actually have an advantage here, because you're already used to thinking as speaking. Your challenge is just to switch the code. For those of you who do have a loud inner voice, your challenge is different. You have to learn to quiet that voice. You have to learn to trust your mouth more than your mind. I want to try an experiment with you right now. I want you to look around the room you're in. Pick one object. Maybe it's a lamp. Maybe it's a cup. Don't say the word in your native language. Don't translate it. Just look at it and immediately say the English word out loud. Lamp. Cup. If you felt a hesitation, if you felt a split second where your brain wanted to say the word in your own language first, that is the translation gap. That is the enemy. We need to close that gap. We need to make the wire between your eyes and your mouth shorter. This is why techniques like shadowing are so effective. I'm sure you've heard of shadowing, listening to a speaker and repeating exactly what they say. But do you know why it works?